Hi everybody, this is Deanna Padaleone again, and today I want to show you guys a little tutorial on how to use Google Classrooms. That's what we're going to be going over. Two ways to get to Google Classroom. You can always come up here in the Omni bar, type in classroom.google.com, and that'll take you to Google Classroom. The other way that you can get there is go over here to our waffle. Okay, find Google Classroom and click on that, the main group of students that you instruct. However, if you would like, you could also set up multiple classes and have one for each of the different groups, perhaps, that you use. Or if you wanted to break it down into subjects, you could do that as well. To create a class, you're going to come over here to this little plus button, click on that, and click Create Class. Then you're going to give your class a name. This is the only thing that is required in this field. And then create your class. It'll take a moment for that to create. And then it will open up our class here for us to look at. It's going to give you a few tutorial things as you go through here, if that's something you would like to do. Otherwise, you can close out of these. You can create announcements to share with your class. You can just post questions if you would like to. But here's the quick, short, easy way for you to communicate with your class. You can also respond to your students' posts. In this upcoming section right here, you would see if you had any assignments that were posted that were going to be due soon, things that you needed to perhaps grade or get back to students. Here in this screen, you can personalize what this class will look like for you and for your students. So you can go to select theme. They've got several different here that you can choose from. And that will change the theme for your class. It's kind of nice if you have different themes. It makes your classes easy to pick out as you are whenever you first get into Classroom. It also makes it easy for students to pick your class out if they have multiple classes in Google Classroom. Over here underneath the name of your class, you'll see this class code. That's going to become important in a few minutes when we talk about inviting students to join your class or how you get students into your class. If we just look across the top here, and we're going to work through each of these files. Or each of these menus, sorry about that. So the first one here is the stream. Again, this is your main page. If you share something with your class on here, it's going to load here. This stream page will start to look very similar to maybe like your wall in Facebook or something like that, as far as it'll show posts, it will show assignments, and everything kind of works through chronological order there. If we go to classwork, this is where we go to begin to create assignments, create units, things like that that we might want for our students. So to create anything in here, we click on create. We've got an assignment so that we can create that. If we go to assignment, we'll see here, we see what class that it's for. We see that it's for all students. I can click here and change students and select specific ones I want it to go to. Also, if I have multiple classes in here, this will give me a drop-down menu and I can assign it to multiple classes at one time. We give our assignment a title. You can give it instructions, set your point total here or ungraded, give it a due date. The reason I suggest making sure you give a due date is because as we are getting students used to the devices in our classroom, we want them to start using those for management as well. They can start using the calendar very similar to the way they're using their planners now. And if you put a due date in here, it will automatically show that on their Google Calendar. So they will know when they have assignments coming up and when those are due. It gives you a drop-down calendar, so it's pretty easy for you to select that. You can choose a specific time if you want to, but that's entirely optional. You can set up different topics in here for your assignments. So this one could be classroom. Perhaps I wanted to have another one that was Google Gmail or something like that, I can set up those different topics. And that's a way that you can and students can search for assignments as well. Then we could go ahead and assign this as it was, but there's not really anything here. We didn't give instructions on what they were supposed to do. We can also attach things that we want them to do. So we can attach a file from our computer or from my drive if I would like. So here's our options for attaching. We can also attach directly from my drive by clicking on the drive icon here. This will pull up all of the work that I have, and I can just double click something here to attach. I can attach a video if I would like to. Again, a YouTube video, and I can either search or I can put the URL in. And then I could also attach a specific link if I have one. Notice here on this assignment that I brought in, it shows the page that I brought that I want students to be working on. If this is a Google Doc or a PowerPoint, whatever that is, I've got several different options over here for me to assign this to students. Right now, it's set that students can only view this assignment. So if I had a reading or something like that that I wanted them to do, I would probably leave it set as students can view. I can change this, so I can set it so that students can edit the file. So if I want them to get in here and mess with it and change it, then that's what I would set it to. But understand that under students can edit file, this means that they are editing the original document, the one that you have attached. And so if one student edits it, then it's going to show for all students. So if this is something you want them to collaborate on all together, this is a good option. If it's not, and you want them to do individual answers, then you want to do this option down here where it says make a copy for each student. If I select that, that means each student will get their own copy of this particular Word document, file, PowerPoint, or whatever it is that I'm going to give them. They'll get their own specific copy that they can write on, that only then they will see those changes and you will see those changes because it's automatically shared with you. Then under assign, I have some options. I can either assign it right away. I can schedule it to be assigned at a specific time, or I can save the draft. This allows me to go in and work ahead. So if I'm planning a couple of weeks out, I can go in and create my assignments and either schedule them to come out on a specific day or just save the draft. Maybe I need to find another video I want to put on here, or maybe I'm not done creating the questions, something like that. So I can save this draft and then go in and assign it at a later date. Once I assign the assignment, this is moving pretty slow for us today. Once I assign the assignment, you'll see all of your assignments listed here under classwork. And the more you have, the longer this list will be, of course. Again, if I go to create, I have a couple of other options here. I have a Kami assignment. This might not be something that you see right away if you do not have the Kami extension loaded on your Chrome browser. Kami is an extension that allows you to annotate over PDF, and then you can turn in directly from Kami. It is something that's pretty slick, and it'll keep you from having to convert all of your files from PDF into a Google Doc or something like that that's easier for kids to type into. I can also do a quiz assignment. If I open that up, again, instructions, a title, points, due date, all of that. And then what it does is it gives me a blank quiz or a blank Google form so that I can go in and create my quiz. Notice that I can turn on locked mode for Chromebooks here. And so that students take that quiz, it's already in here. I don't have to go back and attach this quiz in or this Google form in here. You can also do that. If you have a quiz that's already created in Google Forms, you can come in and attach it from your Google Drive and it will show in here. So there's a couple of different options for that, or insert the link in here. But if you want to create a quiz that has not been created yet, this is an easy way for you to do that. I can also pose a question. So this would be like a discussion question. I would put the question in here, give some instructions on what they needed to do. So perhaps you need to read this quote and then write your response. And then please also respond to 2 other students' responses. Then I have the option here to do a short answer or multiple choice with that question. I can put students reply to each other. Again, if I want them to respond to others, I need to make sure that's checked. And then students can edit their answer. If you want them to be able to edit their answer after they've gotten some responses, you would want to turn that on. Other types of things I can put in here, just materials in general. This is a good storage place. So if you have your math book in PDFs, then maybe you put those in here just as storage material so that if a student forgets to take home a math page, they can get on here and reference that. Or if a parent is unsure of how to help their student with their math page, if they know that these materials are here on Google Classroom, they could have their student get onto Google Classroom, go to their book, and be able to reference that section to kind of help them help their student. And again, you just pull all this information either from your computer or your Google Drive. We can reuse a post if we want to. That would just be pulling something else up that we want to, or we thought it was a really good one, so we want to put it out there again. And then we can create topics. Notice how the topics are going to populate over here. If we create another topic, Google Suite for Education. So then we've got Classroom as a topic that I can assign different assignments in. And then I have Google Suite for Education. So maybe I'm going to be assigning specific assignments in here as well. And all of my topics will populate over here on the left-hand side. Notice at the top here, I've got my Google Calendar that I can go into to see when things are due. Okay, and it will also show my other assignments and things, but students won't see those. It will show what they have due unless they have like a school calendar attached to that. I can also open up my class drive folder. So when you create a Google Classroom class, they automatically get a folder created in your Google Drive. It's not something that you have to do, it automatically happens for you. So that all of that information and then any assignments that kids are submitting is automatically saved into that Google Drive for you. So you can always go back and check. It's a great place to make sure like you're not losing any papers, anything like that. It's kind of nice that it all populates there. And remember that your storage is unlimited as an educator. So using the Google Education Suite apps, you have unlimited storage. So you can just store as many things as you would like in there. Okay, so people. Under this people menu, this is where we're going to see who has access to this class. Our first option here is teachers. So I have myself. If I wanted to add a teacher, so I have a co-teacher that helps me with that, or perhaps I have a para in my classroom, I'm going to click on invite teachers, and then I'm going to type in their email address or their name, and it should populate with our school list. Okay, so maybe I want to have Dan be a part of this classroom. Now I've invited Dan. He's going to get an email that says, Deanna Padaglione invited you to be a teacher on this class and you accept or decline. He probably is going to be like, what the heck is going on? So you have that option. And then again, you can email them or you can remove them there. Now to add students, you have 2 options. The first option is that you can click here, invite students, and you can type in a name or an email. You could go through and add every student into your class that you wanted in there this way. And another way to do this, and perhaps an easier way, especially if we're talking about a little bit of the older kids, this might become harder for some of our younger kids, our kinders, first grade, but for our older kids, is that they will go to classroom.google.com, and then you're going to give them this class code that you find here. Remember that we also found that on the front page. If we go back to stream, it's listed right here. Okay, so that's another place that they can get it. The way they do that is when they're in there instead of creating a class, they click on join a class. I'll show you where that is in just a moment. Okay, and then lastly, up here across our menus, we have grades. I don't have anything put in here yet, but we can set up a grading system. You can allow students to see their overall grades. And there is currently, I believe, a pass back program between Google Classroom and Infinite Campus. And so that's something we can work on getting set up for you as well. We click here on settings, go to our class details. I can see that I've got the name here. If I want to put in a description section, any of that kind of stuff, I can do so here. Then under general, I will see this class code. I can either display that, copy it, reset it, or disable it. So I have some options on what I want to do there. Under the stream, I've got that students can post and comment. I can change this so that they can only comment or that only teachers can post or comment. I can have it show deleted items. So, and this will only show on a teacher's. So if you deleted something out of there, but you want to still have it stick around, you can turn that on. Guardian summaries. This is a new feature from when I've used Google Classroom. So this allows us here that Guardian summaries, email summaries will include missing work, upcoming work, class activity. It's really nice for you to be able to have your parents be attached to this and be part of this. So I would turn this on. Once you have students in your account, there is a spot next to your student where you can click invite guardian, and then you put in their email address and they'll get an email to join or to be part of the course as a parent. Then we can also set grading things in here. So overall grade calculation, total points, I can weight it by category. I can show that to students or not. And then I add my grade categories in here. Again, that's all under the settings. So when I'm in my class, it's all under the settings over here. Over on the left-hand side, we have another menu. This is kind of where we go to navigate through Google Classroom. If I click on classes, it takes me back to my classes main page. Again, if I go to the plus sign up here, this is where I create or join a class. So as a teacher, I'm creating classes here. This is where your students will also go if you're going to give them the code. So they create their Google Classroom account or open that, and then they click on the button and hit join class. When they do that, it will ask for their code here, and they just need to enter that. You'll notice that Google Classroom codes are always all lowercase. So everything is a lowercase. So if you have something that looks like a capital O, it's really a 0. And they do that to try and make it easier to work through all those numbers and letters. Also over here under this menu options, I can go to my calendar. I can see a to-do list. This to-do list will show me any work that's in progress for all of my classes. And so it'll show me what's been turned in, who I have them assigned to. It will show me what I need to be grading. If I click on reviewed, this will show me work that I've already reviewed. Again, this will give me a list of my specific classes here. I can also go in and see my archived classes. Google Classroom doesn't allow you to completely delete a class. So if I create classes this year and then I need to get rid of them to make room for next year's classes, you archive those classes. So they stay living in here. What's really nice about that is that those assignments and everything in those archived classes will stay living as well. So if you can't remember what you did, or you're like, I had this great discussion, but I don't remember, you can always go back in and look at those other classes to kind of remind yourself what that is. And then also under here, we have another option for getting to settings. These settings are a little bit different. They're not a specific class setting, but an actual Google Classroom setting. So here, first thing off the bat, I can change my profile picture. This is fun for kids. If you change the profile picture that you put in here that they see to something that kind of speaks to you, it just personalizes it a little bit and allows and helps with those relationships. You can do it from your photos. You can upload a photo from your computer. You can create one from your webcam. So you've got some different options on that. Email notifications. So this is really, really important because if you have this turned on and everything turned on here, when you first create your class and have students start posting to assignments or posting comments, your email is going to become overrun with all kinds of notifications from Google Classroom. So, what I would suggest is it's good to have some email notifications. I would keep it turned on, but I would select underneath here what I want to see via email. Me personally, I would turn off comments that mention me. I would probably leave on private comments on work because that might be something that a student has a question and I need to see that. I would leave on late submissions of student work so that I would be notified if somebody turned something in after the due date. And I would leave on resubmissions of student work. Otherwise, I would probably turn the rest of this stuff off. And then I have more options here. I can turn email and mobile notifications on or off for a specific class. So if I want to see them for my main class, but I don't want to see them maybe for one of my reading groups or something like that, then I can turn those on and off for specific classes here. So that's where we get to all that, is under that specific settings. There is a lot more that goes into this once we get into the grading piece and what assignments look like. I don't unfortunately have anything set up to show you that right now, but we will get into that piece a little bit later. And as you play with things, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you for your time for this tutorial on Google Classroom.